Welcome to Shadowed Tales, where the line between reality and nightmare blurs, and the unknown waits just beyond the shadows. Here, we delve into the mysteries that defy explanation, the whispers of forgotten legends, the chilling truths hidden in plain sight, and the horrors that lie beneath the veil of the everyday. Are you brave enough to uncover what lurks in the darkness? Do you dare question the stories the world wants you to forget? Open your mind, steel your nerves, because here, every tale holds a secret, and every shadow has a story. John Wayne Gacy was born at Edgewater Hospital in Chicago, Illinois, on March 17, 1942, the second of three children and only son of John Stanley Gacy and Marion Elaine Robinson. His father was an auto repair mechanic and World War I veteran, and his mother was a homemaker. Gacy was close to his mother and two sisters, but had a difficult relationship with his alcoholic father, who was verbally and physically abusive to his family. In 1960, at age 18, Gacy became involved in politics, working as an assistant precinct captain for a local Democratic Party candidate. In 1962, Gacy left home and traveled to Las Vegas, Nevada, in the hope of residing with a cousin. Gacy worked in the Las Vegas ambulance service before being transferred to Palm Mortuary. He worked as a mortuary attendant for 3 months, observing morticians, embalming bodies, and occasionally serving as a pallbearer. His time in Las Vegas was short, and Gacy found himself back home and enrolled at Northwestern Business College, despite having failed to complete high school. He graduated in 1963 and took a management trainee position at a shoe company in 1964. The company transferred him to Springfield, Illinois, to work as a salesman and eventually promoted him to department manager. In March of that year, he became engaged to Marilyn Myers, a co-worker. During their courtship, Gacy joined the local chapter of the Jaycees, which is a civic organization for young people focused on business development and community service. By 1965, Gacy had risen to the position of vice president of the Springfield Jaycees and was voted the third most outstanding Jaycee in Illinois. Gacy moved to Iowa and seemed to be on a successful path in life as he managed 3 Kentucky Fried Chicken franchises that were bought for him to run by his father-in-law. Gacy's sinister side would not be held back, and by December of 1968, Gacy found himself in legal trouble in Iowa. Gacy was sent for a psychological assessment, and doctors at Iowa State University Hospital found that he had antisocial personality disorder, the clinical term for a psychopath. Gacy pleaded guilty to sodomy of 15-year-old Donald Voorhees Jr., the son of a fellow Jaycee member, and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. It was at this point Gacy's first wife divorced him. She was awarded the house and kids. They never saw Gacy again. By June of 1970, Gacy was out on parole after serving only 18 months of his 10-year sentence. Gacy then relocated to Chicago, and by February of 1971, Gacy was again charged with sexual assault of a teenage boy at a bus station, but the charges were later dropped as the boy never showed up for court. Then, on June 22nd, Gacy was arrested and charged with aggravated sexual battery and reckless conduct in response to a complaint filed by a youth who claimed that Gacy had flashed a sheriff's badge, lured him into his car, and forced him to perform oral sex. These charges ended up being dropped as well. Gacy's parole ended on October 18, 1971, and a month later, the records of Gacy's criminal convictions in Iowa were sealed. The Iowa Board of Parole never learned about these charges from Chicago. Late in 1972, Gacy had moved into a ranch-style bungalow in the Norwood Park Township of Chicago and had established a part-time construction business called PDM. Gacy was a model neighbor. He would shovel snow and do snow removal for free. He also threw parties every summer that would attract nearly 400 people, including prominent business people and politicians. Through his political dealings, Gacy was able to attend high-profile fundraisers, and at one point, he was actually vetted by the U.S. Secret Service and given a special pin stating he was cleared and did not pose a threat. At that fundraising event, Gacy was actually able to socialize and take a picture with then First Lady Rosalynn Carter. In addition to attending these social events as himself, Gacy had invented two clown characters, Pogo and Patches. Gacy would also dress up as these clown characters for store openings, children's parties, as well as hospital and social events. It was through this charity work dressed up as a clown that Gacy was eventually given the nickname the Killer Clown. Gacy's gruesome killing spree of known murders took place from 1972 to 1978. All of Gacy's victims were young boys or men, and most attended Gacy's residence with the promise of money or some kind of work at his construction company. Although Gacy began his known killing spree in 1972, 31 of the 33 bodies found were killed within a 3-year span between 1975 and 1978. All but 5 of Gacy's victims were buried under his house in Norwood Park suburb of Chicago. Gacy later stated that he had run out of room in the crawl space under his house and had to begin dumping bodies into the Des Plaines River. Gacy would start his crimes the same way, through drugs and alcohol. Once the victims were sufficiently inebriated, Gacy would start with magic tricks, usually involving handcuffs. Gacy would start by performing the trick on himself. Then he would coax his victim into putting the handcuffs on behind their back. Once cuffed, Gacy would beat, torture by repeatedly drowning and reviving and raping his victims. Gacy was also known to chain victims to wooden planks and act very similar to Dean Corll, the Candyman killer, from our last episode. There are several sinister similarities between Gacy and Corll, with the possibility that the Candyman and the Killer Clown actually knew each other. But that is a story we will cover in our next episode about a nationwide sex trafficking ring involving children. By 1978, Gacy's brash demeanor would be his demise. Gacy had been able to get away with crimes for some time now, and his pretentious nature would cost him his freedom. Gacy often used a fake police badge to lure young men and boys towards his car. One victim, a college student, Robert Donnelly, was lured towards Gacy's car, then forced inside at gunpoint and driven to Gacy's residence. Gacy then raped, tortured, and repeatedly drowned Donnelly to unconsciousness in a bathtub. Gacy then chained Donnelly to wooden boards that were fixed to a wall in his house, where he was repeatedly raped and tortured. Gacy then drove Donnelly to his workplace and released him. Donnelly went to the police concerning Gacy, but no charges were ever laid. In December of 1978, Gacy committed a last murder. Gacy visited a pharmacy in Des Plaines to discuss a potential remodeling deal with the store owner, Phil Torf. While at the pharmacy, Gacy had talked to 15-year-old Robert Piest. Robert was last seen leaving the pharmacy on December 11, 1978. He had told his family that he was going to see a contractor about a construction job. When Piest failed to return, his family filed a missing person report with the Des Plaines Police Department. Lieutenant Joseph Kozenczak picked up the case as his son also attended Maine West High School, like Piest. Lieutenant Kozenczak chose to investigate Gacy further, and a check of Gacy's criminal background revealed that he had an outstanding battery charge in Chicago and that he had been imprisoned in Iowa for the sodomy of a 15-year-old boy. On December 12, 1978, Kozenzak and two officers visited Gacy at his home and asked questions about Robert Piest. Lieutenant Kozenzak knew Gacy was lying and obtained a search warrant for his home. This search revealed several suspicious items, including several police badges, a starting pistol, a syringe and hypodermic needle, handcuffs, capsules of amyl nitrate, a 2x4 with 2 holes drilled into each end, bottles of Valium and atropine, several driver's licenses, and underwear too small to fit Gacy. They also found a class ring engraved with the initials JS and a pharmacy photo receipt in a trash can from the date Piest went missing. After this date, Gacy was put under surveillance by the Des Plaines police. Gacy began to become unraveled by the constant surveillance, and on December 21, 1978, the Des Plaines police were able to obtain a second search warrant for Gacy's residence. As a result, investigators attended Gacy's house, focusing on the crawl space. Immediately upon entering the crawl space, police began uncovering multiple decaying bodies under Gacy's home. Gacy was formally arrested on December 21, 1978, and subsequently confessed to the murders. His trial in 1980 was one of the most notorious in U.S. history, and he was found guilty of 33 counts of murder. On May 10, 1994, he was executed by lethal injection at Statesville Correctional Center in Illinois. As a side note, and as a precursor to our next episode, is how similar the killer clown and the Candyman killer actually were. An interesting twist in this case was 2 young men that had lived with and worked for Gacy. David Cram and Michael Rossi were 2 employees of Gacy's PDM construction company and were also suspected accomplices. Cram and Rossi had both spread lime in Gacy's crawl space and had also dug trenches under his house for what they explained were holes for plumbing. Rossi was also known to attend at events dressed as a clown with Gacy. A few of Gacy's murder victims had gone missing on dates that Gacy was proven to be in another state, which led to the conspiracies of Gacy having accomplices. There has also been speculation about a possible connection between Gacy and Coral, primarily due to the similarity in their victim profiles and the fact that both operated around the same time period. Some theories suggest they may have been part of a wider network, including sex trafficking and snuff films. This will be uncovered in our next episode. Thank you for venturing into the shadows with us. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a step deeper into the mysteries. Have your own theories or questions? Share them in the comments. Your insights might unlock the next secret we uncover. Until next time, keep your lanterns lit and your eyes on the shadows, for they hold the keys to hidden truths.